He's close to first.
Yeah.
Good evening. I'd like to call the City of Delafield Plan Commission meeting for March 29th, 2023 to order at 7 o'clock. With that, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Crystal, if you could help with the roll call.
Okay, Tim Aker,
Here.
Dan Callahan,
Here.
Mike Helsman,
Here.
Laura Schultz,
Here.
Robert Weiler.
Here.
Okay, Mike Court.
Here.
Okay, and then Dan Jahinski. We have him. And then I know Kent Atwell and Ed Merrick are excused today.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes from February 22nd.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, we have minutes approved. And from here, I'd like to entertain any citizens' comments specifically for items on the consent agenda. That would be for 528 Wells Street and 1760 Milwaukee Street. If there's any citizens who'd like to speak to either of those, please come up. Going twice. Okay, citizens' comments for items on the consent agenda are now closed. So consent agenda. Any motion to approve, take things
I'll
up?
make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, motion seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right, so if you're here for either the Hendricks Commercial Properties, Baden Boutique Wealth Management, or the Waukesha County Capital applications for the roofing business, you can stay for the rest of the meeting or you're free to go. You've been approved. So now we move on to public hearing. We have a public hearing tonight for rezoning from R3 to two-family residential, to R3 single and two-family residential, to R4 single and two-family residential. For there's a lot of property tax codes here, so I'll just give the addresses. It's 505 North Lapham Peak Road, 427 North Lapham Peak Road, 532 Bleecker Street, 1014 Kenora Road, 1016 Kenora Road, owner Barron's Properties LLC, and part of 333 North Lapham Peak Road, owner American Legion, post number 196. I don't know, Mike, you've got anything to highlight in regards to this?
Sure. Let me see what page I got.
I know we've been talking about this for a while. This is near the American Legion, where we're looking to rezone it contingent upon other items.
So this was in front of the Plan Commission, and here is the overall concept plan. Try to do a full display of that here. So what the developer property owner is looking at doing is rezoning from the R3 to the R4 to accommodate a little bit smaller lots on here. There's a few housekeeping items that are on the agenda as far as some land transfers with American Legion, and then also this rezone and updating the American Legion conditional use to redefine their exterior limits per the rezone or per the conditional use.
And we'll get into that
Yep.
later in the agenda, but so anybody wishing to speak on public hearing number 1 specific to this rezoning, please raise your hand or come up. Anyone? Okay, public hearing number 1 is now closed. Public hearing number 2, close to the same properties, a couple of them are the same. This is conditional use amendment specific to the American Legion use, to amend the conditional use permit for the American Legion to modify the physical boundaries. And this is all part of the same proposal. Is there anybody here to speak to public hearing number 2 for the conditional use amendment for American Legion Post number 196? Going once, twice? Okay, public hearing number 2 is now closed. All right, moving right along. So now we're open to any citizens' comments for any items other than the public hearing at all. So anything that's on the agenda or not. Please raise your hand and come up if you'd like to speak to any items that are on the agenda. We will get to you. You're the applicant? Okay. Yeah, we'll call you up when it's your turn. Is there anybody who'd like to speak to any items on the agenda or off the agenda? All right. Public hearing, public comments, citizens' comments are now closed. Going on to unfinished business. This is the same property we just had the public hearings on. So if the applicant is here, I'd like them to come up, please. He was hiding behind a post. State your name and address.
Jim Barron,
Nope.
Top.
Up on top, yeah.
It's up on top, I think.
We have new microphones.
Oh,
Jim Barron.
Nope. Here comes Mike.
He's coming.
Hello?
Nope.
oh, it's on bottom now. Hey, Mike, we have another one here.
It's on the bottom. Oh, you gotta open it up. Try it.
Oh.
No.
Nope.
You have to open this. You have to open it up. Okay. Jim Barron, 757 Garrison Court, City of Delafield. So I've been before this board on this a couple of times, and we've made small changes as this process has gone on, and what you see before you is a concept plan. And at some point, if this is approved, we're going to submit a preliminary plat. So, but our proposal is to have 29 single-family lots on this land, and the current zoning is would limit us to 19 lots, but they could be duplex lots. And in this current marketplace, if you looked at Devonshire or Jensen Court, they tend to be built out that way. And I live in the city of Delafield, and I have a bias towards single family, so I would prefer to see this go this way. So, the through street doesn't create a cul-de-sac. It follows the master plan for thoroughfares going through here. They would like another connection to Lapham Peak Road, and we're accomplishing that, but we're not making it a straightaway. So I guess I would ask that you would approve it.
All right, and you're comfortable with the fact that, well, they're both zoning districts, what's current and what's being proposed has an option for two-family residential, but you're stating you're
We're
going to
not
submit something as
requesting
single-family
that.
homes.
Now, on lots this size, duplexes get very tight, so, I mean, we've set these things at 90 feet wide. The neighboring development, Delafield Woods, was developed under a planned unit development, but under the same theory. And they could have built 8 lots that were duplexes, so they would have 16 units, or no, I guess it was 9 lots, so 18 units. So they ended up with 13 single-family lots. But they're 70 feet wide, and while I like the houses in that that is a bit tight for builders. And so we're a little wider. I think these lots will work fine. The smallest is about a little over 10,000 square feet. There's a couple in there that are 20,000. So,
Does anybody else have questions for the applicant? All right, looking for a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to rezone, to recommend to the Common Council to adopt the enclosed ordinance that amends the zoning district on all or a portion of the subject properties from R3 single to two-family residential to an R4 single and two-family residential district, subject to the conditions contained in the enclosed ordinance. The ordinance is subject to the city attorney's review prior to Common Council consideration.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Do we need to do the conditional use also, recommendation?
That's the next part.
That's not- All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right. Item 9A is approved. So 9B is modifying the physical boundaries between the Legion and Barron's properties. It's like, I think you're swapping left field for right field, kind
yeah,
of?
I can just explain for the record. There's a leg of our land that we own that's south of the Legion. It's 60 feet wide. It conforms with the city. You can see it up on the map, where the road would have gone, where the city wanted to go, where the prior landowner planned to build a road. And we don't really need it, and the Legion really would like to have the land, so we asked them for a piece on the back, and we're trading. And the problem under our rules is that the master plan has the Legion at some kind of institutional use. I'm just being general in that case, but it goes by land description. So in the case of our parcel we're giving up, it's residential, and the issue on the public hearing is you're going to change it into the use that the Legion is making of the property. And the small piece on the west end that we receive, the issue is it has to be changed to residential, and it's the same as both of these are the same as the lands contiguous to it, so it's not really a new use in the neighborhood, but it's one of the steps in the process to get where we want to be. And so we ask your approval.
All right. Any other questions? Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to recommend to Common Council approve the conditional use amendment, subject to the terms and conditions of the enclosed conditional use agreement, which is subject to the city attorney's review prior to the Common Council consideration.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, very good. A and B are
luck.
approved. Thanks, Jim. Okay, item 9C, 3201 Village Square Drive, owner ISB Community Bank. Applicant Taryn Wright on behalf of JP Morgan Bank. Looking for site plan and appearance approval for the site improvements for a new Chase Bank. Everyone familiar with where this is? Want to give a quick
Sure.
overview, Tom?
So this was reviewed at last month as far as the overall, but the landscape plan was pushed back to here. They're coming in here with the submittal for the landscape plan. Amy has done a review. Her report's in here. Her one comment was potentially the plants around the mechanical enclosure, which is on the east side of the building, and somewhat north, so northeast corner of the building, potentially to increase the size of the plantings. They're proposed to be 3 to 4 feet now. She is recommending, or at least recommending the Plan Commission consider at least a 6-foot high plantings around there. Now the enclosure does have the same type of materials and coloring scheme as the building, so I think she left that up to Plan Commission discretion as far as that goes. But everything else is in order. And I'll pull up the, that corner here.
Is the applicant here? Come on up, please. Please state your name and address.
Good evening. Teron Wright is my colleague. He lives down in Florida, and I'm in Chicago. So my name is David Stengel. I'm with the Architects Partnership, the architecture firm for this project. I'm the project manager. Address is 200 South Michigan in Chicago, Illinois. And I'm vaguely familiar with the landscaping. We are currently providing for 5 dense U's that are approximately 3 feet in height. We're also calling out for some purple leaf winter creeper, which is an ivy, a climbing ivy, because there's not much space in between this enclosure and the emergency exit door on the east side. So we were introducing the ivy to help screen the brick, as opposed to taller trees, because there's just not a whole lot of space.
So on this, this is the north elevation. It's on the east side, right here. So the color scheme, it does match the building.
Yes, the
On
new
the-
brick is
yeah.
to match.
And then on the east elevation, you can kind of see the outline of where that enclosure would be in front.
Is there any other questions or motion?
Now, this is the enclosure attached to the building,
Correct.
but
Yep.
there is something further off.
Which,
In the corner.
the garbage enclosure?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they are screening, I believe that's screened. I can go back to the landscape
The
plan here.
northeast corner of the lot has the
Right.
existing trash enclosure,
Yeah,
which does have some taller evergreen trees. This new enclosure is for mechanical equipment.
okay. So that northeast corner, that's not going to be disturbed?
Untouched.
Okay. I just want to make sure.
We have a few
Some
low-lying
up in there.
plants around the existing electrical transformer, but the trash enclosure will remain as is.
Okay.
So the
Am I-
plantings would
am I-
be,
Did somebody tag me?
they would be in front of that or the brick structure?
Our new brick enclosure,
Yeah.
yes, we have the approximately 3 feet tall U's going around on the north side and the east side. There's no space on the south side of the enclosure because we have the emergency exit door and existing sidewalk.
But the mechanicals are behind the bricks, you can't see it anyway, correct?
I'm sorry?
The mechanicals are behind the brick wall?
Yes, it's
Okay.
all within the enclosure. The enclosure is 8 feet tall.
Okay, what would your preference be? The 3 feet or the 6 feet?
Honestly, the 3 feet, for 2 reasons. One is the brick will match
Right.
the building, and it matches the trash enclosure. Another reason is there's a little bit of a safety concern. This is a bank, and if you have a whole lot of dense plantings there could be some safety concerns.
Got it.
I'll move to accept the landscape plan as submitted.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right, very good.
Thank you.
Approved.
If I may, there's one other item I'd like to present. I've asked the question to Amy and to Scott Hussinger. There's an existing brick chimney towards the east side of the building. It's not servicing any purpose. It's actually a fake chimney, but it's real brick. It's not structurally sound. It's supported by plywood. And the general contractor sent me some photos, and it's failing. We would prefer to simply remove it But the question is, can we remove it, or are we
You'll have
required
to,
to repair?
yeah, I apologize, you have to go through Amy. Since it's not on the agenda, we don't have
Okay.
information, we couldn't officially act on this tonight.
Okay.
So just, yeah, she's enjoying sun right now, but put it in her inbox, or, Mike can help you out. But, yeah, it'd have to come up at our next meeting.
Okay, I'll follow up with
All right.
Amy and Scott.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, item 9D, 418 Genesee Street, owner VT Properties, applicant Samantha Stinson for business plan of operation and permanent signage to operate a tattoo shop known as Holy Seraphim. Hello, name and address, please.
Hi, good evening. Samantha Stinson and 2547 Nutter Circle, Nashotah.
All right.
All right, sure. So this was presented at the last Plan Commission meeting with a favorable response. I was going to bring up the site plan just to make sure everybody knows where this is at.
It's
Just south of City Hall.
200 feet that way.
4 doors up, yeah, right.
Oh, a picture's worth 1,000 words, all right. So in this space here, just south of, south of City Hall here. So we have 6 employees, rent individual spaces, hours open until midnight, later than most service places, except restaurants and bars. So that could be a consideration for the commission. There is a proposed 12 square foot sign, which I can open that up too. The sign here in front of the building here. So, the recommendation, Amy has said, at the Plan Commission's discretion, consideration should be given to the proposed hours of operation. The applicant is proposing to operate from 6 a.m. to 12 a.m.
I can go into that in more
Sure.
detail. So the public hours would not be 6 a.m. to 12 a.m. That would be when the artists may be operating. My insurance doesn't cover outside of those hours. The reason that I propose those hours is because there are the chances that if I have traveling clients, somebody who's flying here, somebody who's traveling a long distance, they only have a certain amount of days or time to get their project done. In those scenarios, artists typically like to stay or come in early, stay a little bit later to complete those projects. But the public hours would be 10 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So you're
I just
saying
didn't-
by
I just-
appointment only after 8 p.m. is what you're suggesting?
Yeah, and prior to 10 a.m. So we would not be accepting people walking in. Likely the doors would be locked.
So potentially the motion could include, the public hours.
I just didn't want anybody to be blindsided by people being in there outside of those hours.
I guess I'm not sure how we deal with that. So if a business is operating, somebody's in the business, even if the owner's in cleaning, but the doors are closed, do we care?
I mean, different, from my experience, different times there's been people who've specified their business plan of operation to include hours of operation that would preclude them from being there before the place opened, which means you couldn't turn the lights on, you couldn't clean up, you couldn't, and so we've always suggested typically to give them buffer zones around that. So I think it's worthy discussion as far as knowing that they'd be servicing clients as late as midnight, if that's something that we'd want to approve or put a different restriction on, knowing that she wouldn't be taking walk-ins after what?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. So we could designate those differences in the motion and the approval process to say, open to public and no new clients after 8 p.m. or something along those lines would be my understanding. knowing that they'd be wrapped up by midnight. But midnight is midnight or 11 or 10 or 8 or, you know, whatever
And
I
some
think
nights
is
not at all.
reasonable.
Yeah. We've never done this before, have we?
Then what?
Had these hours like this where there's a public and there's a private hours?
I wouldn't say never. I'd say it's very likely we've got business plans where people are, you know, by appointment only or public. Because we do it, something very similar would be when someone's doing outdoor dining and you pull them out, you know, that we're setting parameters for different types of service levels, if you would. So we draw a line saying after 10 p.m. you're inside or 9 p.m. or whatever. But, I mean, there's not a hard set rule on this. Typically, the service industry with like salons or whatever, we're not being asked to stay open until midnight.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
But
Could we do like, split it where public hours are these hours and private would be the longer hours?
Yeah,
What's being
I think-
proposed.
Yeah, I think that's.
You could do by
you could
appointment
do.
only.
Yeah,
You could
right.
call it-
Yep.
You could call it appointment. What time do the
Yeah.
downtown restaurants typically close? Do anybody know roughly?
way too early if you look at our surveys. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're bound by what they signed up for business plans, and
Yep.
it's probably bar time is probably what they signed up for. But
Yeah.
many of the restaurants, I'm sure, are midnight.
Yeah.
Would be my recollection. But yeah, there's not a lot of places taking new clients.
No, well, I was asking just because I'm going to exaggerate to make my point. If most of downtown was closed at 9 and you're having one little satellite, having
Yeah.
people still at midnight, that's just a little bit out of place and maybe disruptive, but I'm exaggerating to make my point. So
Yeah.
just wondering out loud if midnight's too late, if 11's better, but if the downtown is still moving,
It's not.
you know.
No, you can't come home from a night downtown Milwaukee and get a nightcap downtown here at 10:45. You're not going to find anybody
Yeah.
there.
And
Shut down.
I totally understand that concern too. The reality of it is it's for extenuating circumstances. I just don't want to trap my artists in you have to be wrapped up at a certain time if they have a traveling client. It's not like every artist is going to be working from 6 a.m. until midnight. Most artists don't want to wake up until noon and want to be home by 4. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't have a problem suggesting that 11 would be the appropriate time, and if things start getting to pushing that, you could always come back. I mean, I don't know if
Yeah.
people
Just
feel the same.
leave hours of operation till 11 p.m.
I would
Yeah.
Don't get
say
into-
open to public till 8, and maybe walk-ins
Until
to-
11.
up until, by appointment only till 11.
Okay.
It would be,
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting something, which I'm capable of doing.
And will the parking be on street, or do you have parking on the side of the building?
there is parking on the side of the building. That's something that the landlord is currently working on. You've all seen the lot. It's kind of half gravel, half asphalt. Half of that is actually owned by the apartment buildings behind the building, and half of it's owned by the actual building. So he's currently working it out with those apartments to try and figure something out to level that out to actually make it into parking to expand, because the current parking lot is so small. So I technically have 2 assigned parking spots that I can use in the current parking lot. And then there is the street parking that is across the street from the space. And then there's also, I would say probably 4 or 5 reasonable spots on the side of the building.
Yeah, the reason I ask is if somebody's pulling in at midnight, would flash on, apartments or houses behind,
Yeah,
just be aware of that.
Yeah,
when
absolutely.
people would use that.
thank you. Yeah.
Let's take a swing.
Do we still want to go at the 6 a.m.?
Vote on what's proposed.
Do we want appointment only going from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., or just leave it hours of operation starting at 6 a.m. and then go till
I-
8?
I would think that it's reasonable to say that I appreciate, you suggested that walk-ins wouldn't be appropriate after 8. I don't think you want a destination like, hey, let's go get a tattoo at 10:30. You know, I'm just, because you're not, I wouldn't want a tattoo, that only takes 30 minutes anyways, but.
I wouldn't know.
Yeah, I would know
It's like,
either.
if you're doing anything at that hour, no, whatever my decision-making is, it's going to be wrong. I'm just wondering, do we want appointment only early in the morning or just leave it as hours of operation? Because
how about
I think what we're saying is, we would say the open hours of operation are 10 a.m. to 8 p.m., then appointment only would be 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., and then 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. would be appointment only. That's what I'm thinking I'm hearing, or I'm kind of,
Yeah.
I guess my question is, do we do the morning thing or just leave it?
I don't care about the morning, really. I mean, does anybody else? I mean, is that a disruption?
Just stay operating hours
Yep.
from
It's
6
not up
a.m.
to me.
to 8 p.m.?
I'm part of
Yeah.
the discussion here.
That's fine.
I don't
Okay.
think there's much going on at 6 a.m. in downtown Delafield. Other
Doesn't
than
sound like that's a
deliveries, maybe.
prime time for people who, artists who do tattoos, unless it's from the night before. Okay, I can take a shot at a motion.
Okay.
Okay, I would motion to approve the business plan of operation with the exception of hours of operation being from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. and from appointment only from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.
So,
Yeah,
well,
no, you
what she's
amended
saying,
it.
what she's saying though is if somebody's coming out of town for a specific artist, they might want to start at 7 a.m. because
Oh, I screwed up the 6. I'm sorry, I was reading from her regular hours. We can leave hours of operation from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then appointment only 8 p.m. to 11 p.m.
Yep,
Everyone got that? Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Go ahead.
Any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. You have that? All right,
Does
thank
that
you.
include the sign? Just,
It is your hours of excuse me? We only had one,
sorry, the business plan approval and the sign application,
that is,
or?
was
are
the
they gonna be
motion
separate?
intended to include the signage as a part of that? I'm assuming it was, that's how I voted.
Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
do you have that? Okay. All right, good luck. All right, next item, item 9E. Oh, what is this? Okay, item 9E, 3138 Village Square Drive, owner Delafield Station LLC, applicant Ahmad Dawade, requesting a business plan of operation to operate a tobacco shop known as Luxury Smoke. Please come up, and Mike, give an overview if you would.
Sure, the applicant is proposing a smoke shop that sells tobacco products, cigars, nicotine vapor products, and accessories, and limited CBD sales. It's located in the Village Square development, in this area here that's highlighted in blue, in the shopping center building on the south side of Village Square. So I don't know if you have more to.
You give your name and address, please.
All right.
Thank
My
you.
name is Ahmad Dawada, 650 East Village Green Court, Elk Creek, Wisconsin, 53154. So I would like to apologize about missing the last meeting. And regarding I got denied, there are some reasons over here. I wish if you can allow me to say something for
Oh,
you.
absolutely.
Yeah. The first thing for glass, so I will not sell any glass or any accessory paraphernalia in the store. And the second thing about the screening, so I will put like sticker for who's under 21 years will not allowed to go inside the store. And there is another way by machine on the cashier system by ID, scanning ID. So nobody can buy any items or any stuff without checking and scanning the ID. It's supposed to be 21, over 21 years. And the third thing, I wasn't here. I apologize again. Fourth thing, about the service community. So if we do like business like that in the city, I think that's gonna be help to raise the community and service, best service. So no need to local customer go away and driving to other cities to get some stuff like premium cigar or like tobacco or like cigarettes or other stuff. And I would like to approve my business.
Okay, are there any questions for the applicant?
Has something changed? I mean, I know you weren't here for the original application, but has something really substantively changed from the original application? I mean,
Actually, I wasn't there when the last meeting,
Right.
I'm missing. And there is something like ununderstandable when I send the documents because my bookkeeper, she's did that, so I wasn't too there. And for the glass, the picture was in the glass that was mentioned on the old presentation.
Mhm.
Because my first store was have some glass, but this store I will not sell any glass or unparaphernalia stuff.
Okay. I guess I'm still concerned, and it's not that, it's not the line of business as much as it is the location. I think one of the concerns we have is within walking distance, we have 4 different schools. And what I've heard from folks in my area, and it's a limited sample, so I'd have to go out further, but they're very concerned at it. We did have one written communication, and last month we had somebody come and talk about it, and somebody local was definitely against it. I guess that's probably a concern. The people in my district have been, and I live in the district, are definitely concerned about bringing something that in would be an effect to our kids. And there's so much, like I said, an inordinate number of schools within walking distance from Village Square. So I think that's probably one of the concerns that our folks have. But I'm speaking for our district. I can't speak for anybody else's.
Yeah, I would agree. I do want to ask, so what is being asked to approve here? Because I see in the notes that there's no signage plan submitted at this time. Is that correct?
There is a picture for signing.
Reading Amy's report.
I
Guess it's January 25th, so maybe on,
I think this one. You had pictures of it.
okay. So am I
Yeah,
reading?
so no signage tonight. Yeah, the applicant has not applied for any signage at this time.
Still, I didn't-
But has submitted possible renderings. So you are not approving signage. That you would have to come back to get approval for the signage.
Is that, in these type of, is that typical that there's a 2-step here, a business plan approval and then a signage? Or do we do
Yeah,
it?
we've done that.
We do it separately usually? Okay.
It's not uncommon.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it happens both ways. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I say something about the signage?
No, it's just a
No, you don't.
technicality.
Yeah.
We don't need
Yeah.
to get into the signage. I
No,
don't-
that
Yeah.
comes later. I'm still opposed for the same reasons that I
Well,
objected the last time.
We're actually, if we have questions
Oh,
for the
okay.
applicant. continue.
One of the things that I was given by a neighbor in that area was, they wanted to ask what percentage of sales are from THC vape products and what percentage of sales are from selling glassware apparatus.
Actually, I will not sell any glass in the store, even the THC.
Then we have to, if you approve this, you have to put that in.
Yeah, that is part of the application, is no glassware is proposed to be part of it. It is, so what's proposed is the tobacco products, cigars, nicotine vapor products, accessories, and limited CBD sales.
So one of the questions I have, I'm presuming that because this is B6 and there's a limited number of types of businesses that are allowed in B6, that this is being applied for under the heading of tobacco shop?
Yep, that's the tobacco shop. So that, I think that's the question is, does this meet the intent of the tobacco shop?
Because my understanding is that we do not have a specific designation for nicotine derivatives, like e-cigs and that, or vape stores in our ordinance. And I know our state statutes specifically handle them differently. They're called out specifically as e-cigarettes and nicotine derivatives versus tobacco. They're handled separately. And so, I mean, that's where I'm kind of hung up, is it's incumbent upon us to say that they're the same, and the state treats them differently. And I know Milwaukee, just in January, proposed, and I believe it passed through the mayor's office, and they've got a 6-month moratorium on any new vape stores being approved because of the confusion and hassle in dealing with these as the same thing, tobacco stores and e-cigs and vape products. So that's kind of where I'm hung up, is I think there's a little wisdom in our ordinance specifying that it's a tobacco shop because it's a known entity, and not just a smoke shop, because a smoke shop, even when the ordinance were written, encompasses lots of other products that were either illicit or just not something that we wanted to approve in certain areas. So in my opinion, our ordinance is behind in trying to find a home for the products that many of the products you sell. I mean, I know you've got it's a beautiful looking humidor that you're proposing, but in the information that was submitted, there seems to be a large quantity, or a very large proportion of the products are the e-cigs and vape juice, and it's even 2/3 of the signage that you have as far as what you're calling out. And we don't have a spot for it in our ordinance. I think if we want to find where they're appropriate to be in the city, I think we need to pass an ordinance to figure out what zoning district they could be approved under. But I don't know that I want to take the leap to say that a tobacco shop is the same as something that's approved to sell vape products. I think they're different. Much in the way that we've got different licensing we don't just have alcohol, you can sell alcohol, we've got different licensing for beer and wine and gin and vodka and whiskey. I mean, they're known quantities, and this industry it's not brand new, but it's new enough that we haven't had an application or interest in opening a store like this, so we don't have one. So in the fact that it should automatically fall under the heading of a tobacco shop, knowing that all these other products are being sold and marketed there is a struggle for me.
Yeah.
So Tim, would a recommendation to be put it on a future agenda item to clarify that as a city ordinance perspective? Or?
Well, it'd have to go through in my opinion, well, we'd either have to decide as a plan commission that this is the same, that these are all the same, that these are all fit under the umbrella of tobacco, which I don't think they do.
I agree with you. I don't think this does.
Or say it's substantially similar, which again, I think it's different. It skews to a different clientele, and it's a different type of product. So it'd really be a matter of finding that it doesn't fit here and figuring out, putting it to the council to say, do you want to pass a specific ordinance to address these? And that's actually, the alderperson for this district suggested that might be an appropriate thing to do, is find out and specifically call out vape products and these nicotine derivatives in that as a specific use where we could find a home for them.
Because I would agree with you. I think that this product offering would fall outside of just a standard straight tobacco definition. So I don't think we can lump it into that.
Yeah. And with that, we would have to select which district it would, or what area it would fall into, B6,
Well,
B5.
you've heard Kent suggest several times, we've got a list, right? Where he said something to Amy, and the list is not short, but it would certainly be something to put on the list to address as far as zoning goes, but that's a long process. And I know you're looking for, I mean, I'm suggesting that we don't have a spot in our ordinance specific to the whole umbrella of products that you're presenting, that you're selling. And the process to get that approved is, if we ran, it'd be 90 days.
Would we have to deal with the state also then? Because they view it
I don't believe so.
differently?
Milwaukee didn't, and they just decided they're going to go back to the drawing board and rewrite some ordinances, as far as my understanding of it. But
yeah,
And I'll make a motion to deny the applicant's business plan of operation based on the fact that I don't believe it fits into the approved uses in this district as a tobacco shop. Perhaps if their feature application specifically was geared specific to tobacco products as known by the state, it might be different. But
Sounds good.
I'll second.
is there any discussion? Mike. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Sorry, you've been denied. You can talk to Amy at a future date as far
Yeah,
as what
since-
next steps there might be to go forward.
Actually, since November 2022, starting to do the process, and I spend around 4 or 5 months right now, and hopefully you get approval, but you still deny.
Understood. I understand.
It's
You won't
took
be the
me a
first.
long process to do that, you know. So that's mean there is no chance to approve my business?
You'd have to discuss with Amy. You could reach out to the city planner as far as what this means and how a different application might be viewed differently.
Is there a specific reason why I got denied for this time? Because I'm here and
As of our current understanding of the zoning, it does not fit. So at this point, this matter's closed tonight. You can talk to Amy or other staff in the future if you'd like to continue. I can't do anything more for you tonight.
so I can't get approval anyway?
Not tonight.
No.
This was voted on and denied tonight.
But even the reason, I don't understand the reason why I got denied.
I'm not, it's not really a matter of me to explain it to you right now. We can talk offline, maybe after the meeting, or you set up an appointment with staff, and I'd be happy to come and explain in detail.
All right.
Okay?
Anyway, thank you so much.
I appreciate your patience.
No problem.
Okay, number 10, new business. Recommendation to adopt resolution number 2023-04, a resolution of the Common Council to vacate and discontinue a portion of public right-of-way for Smith Lane and Farron Lane pursuant to Wisconsin Statute 6223. Mike?
All right, so on the desk tonight is also an updated exhibit for this. So the developer of Beacon Hills is looking at vacating the road right-of-way. But also, it's come to our attention that the alleys may have been vacated, but there isn't the best documentation on that. So what we're doing is we're going to include the alleyways with this. So we're looking at somewhat of a modified motion, if you so choose to approve, would be to have staff, based on the exhibit, which is at your desk, and I've also pulled it up on the screen here, to include those alleyways and have staff modify the resolution as needed, and then refer it to Common Council. So I don't know if there's specific questions. I think Plan Commission has seen the overall development for Beacon Hills a few times, and this is more of a housekeeping issue as far as vacating the right-of-way, so then it can be replatted as proposed in their concept plans and preliminary plat.
Everybody get this?
I hope so.
You hope so?
I'll try
This
to.
is an old property.
Yeah.
All
Yes.
land is
Yeah.
old, right?
Very
Yeah,
old.
it's-
It's
yeah,
old
the-
Delafield is what it is.
Mhm, right.
I'll try to make the motion.
Okay.
I'll
You
make
might
the-
want to include, just a suggestion, it might be worthy to suggest including reference to the Exhibit A as presented in the meeting.
Okay.
Yep, Exhibit A, and then I want to do one clarification is, there was some discussion of a smaller right-of-way for St. John's Road. Our research has shown that there isn't, so if we, part of the motion, if you could restate that the length of St. John's Road will stay at 66-foot right-of-way.
We'll do width. How about
With, okay, perfect.
60 feet.
that? 66.
It's 66, yep.
Okay, I'll make a motion. This has, according to Exhibit A, for the vacation of the alleyways seen on the survey, to vacate those, and for the St. John's, the length of St. John's and the width of it should be not more than 60 feet.
66.
66, yep.
66?
Yes.
Should
Oh, I thought
be
it said 60.
66.
Yeah,
66
Should be
feet.
66. Yeah.
And to refer this to Council.
We want to include resolution.
Oh, roll
Yeah,
them.
then if you could read just the agenda item A,
Okay,
the first sentence there.
all right, I will do that. Okay, I will start over. To vacate, discontinue the portion of public right-of-way for the two Simith Lane and Ferdinand Lane, that's what it says here. And for the vacation of the alleys seen on Exhibit A, plus St. John's Road to be 66 feet wide, and this to be sent to Common Council for approval,
Along with resolution.
Per the recommendation
for the recommendation.
of Resolution
of
2023-04.
his- Oh, okay. I'm not very good at this.
You're on the spot.
For the resolution, I don't have that, I guess, on here. Resolution for
2023-04.
2023-04.
Yeah, that's what we're, yeah.
Okay.
Does that make sense to everyone?
I don't know.
Yeah, it does.
We knew it was tough, that's why this whole end of the room was quiet.
It's
I
like,
would just say, with the revisions to that resolution, to include the alleys, staff revisions to that to include the vacated
that's
alleys.
too much.
All right, sorry.
As per the city planner
Perfect.
recommendations.
Perfect.
Do you want me to read it back?
Why don't you give it a swing?
Yeah,
Can I
that'd be
just
great.
ask though, you did say A? Is
Exhibit
there
A.
Exhibit B too in that?
I didn't see an exhibit B.
Oh, yeah, the description is actually
Oh, okay.
Exhibit B.
Yeah, exhibit B too. I only heard
Okay.
A.
Okay, so I got the motion to vacate a portion of the public right-of-way of Smith Lane and Farron Lane, and the vacation of alleys from the new Exhibit A and B from tonight's meeting, and for St. John's Road to be 66 feet wide. And then to send this to the Common Council for the resolution of 2023-04. Is that it?
I think we got it all.
That sounds
I think that
perfect.
works.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay.
I miss Amy.
Mike.
She writes it all
I
out.
second. Yeah.
Okay,
Got the right.
item 10B, 527 Milwaukee Street, owner Hendricks Commercial Properties, applicant Mike Palin, Music and Beer LLC. Applicant requests approval of business plan of operation to operate microphone brewery. Is the applicant here? Thanks for hanging in there.
I've gotten used to doing these after going
Please
through
state
the process
your-
with Elk Grove.
state your
Mike
name and
Palin,
address.
my address is 1704 Linden Avenue, Park Ridge, Illinois, 60068.
All right, why don't we start with Mike, if you give a quick
All
synopsis of
right.
what's going on.
So I'm going to use some pictures here. So the space that they're looking at using is on Milwaukee Street in this area. There's about 5,500 square foot. Microphone Brewery plans to use about a third of the 5,500 square feet for beer production and packaging. This area would include a brew house, fermentation tanks, packaging tanks, and a packaging line. Production will occur approximately 2 times a week from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then a majority of the tenant space will be used for public tasting room, retail space, where they'll sell beer, non-alcoholic beverages, prepackaged snacks for on-site consumption, and packaged beer to go. So a majority of the beer produced on site will be served to the customers. A portion of the beer will be sent out for special events and delivered to local bars and stores. The zoning code does not specifically mention the production of beer as permitted use. However, the presented narrative does fit multiple permitted uses, packaged beverage stores, restaurants, taverns, etc. And the production of the beer on site enhances the experience for the customer. The operation is similar to Delafield Brewhouse and Water Street Brewery, except for the scale of the operations with a smaller area without the restaurant use.
All right, want to give your own spin on your proposal?
Sure thing. So I brought my wife, my son, Miles, my daughter Lily, and then my GC Rob here as well, and some Bleecker Street residents. We started microphone brewing down in Elk Grove Village about 6 years ago. We actually got that space, but before that we started contract brewing 8 years ago. So we just celebrated 8 years of business. Very successful business. I'm very lucky to be what we're doing. But I'm from Mugwanago and I miss home and I want to come back home. So I grew up actually working at Walmart in Delafield for several years, went to school in Madison, and this location has always been in my mind, Delafield. So I reached out to Hendrix about going into the grain, because the kind of methodology in the brewing world right now is going into these mixed-use spaces. We've seen craft beer explode, and now it's kind of coming back to local, being part of the community, being part of that scenario. So I reached out to them, and at that time, they were kind of pulling back of doing anything outside of their own production. So they recommended we coming to this old CrossFit space, and the minute we saw it, it was exactly what we wanted. We don't want to be massive production here. We just want to make enough beer to kind of service that local crowd, be part of the community, and do what we do, and put our music and beer spin on it. So we're hoping to get your approval, and we're looking to get started as soon as we can.
So one other thing is that there is a shared patio on the northwest corner of this area, and I guess that is one thing Amy had mentioned. There isn't going to be live music, is my understanding.
Nothing
right?
we're looking for, no.
But there's a potential of some music that has outdoor speakers, so we probably should kind of get a little bit of a definition in that, and if the commission is good with that or not, and that's kind of part of the Amy's report here.
Who's the shared patio with?
I don't know if that's
Blue Collar has it, and then also there's some residents that live there. They have access to that, but nobody's using it. No one's ever used it. It's just kind of an open deck space.
Okay.
So why, reading through, why aren't you allowed to sell the beer you brew in Elk Grove?
Yeah.
Elk Grove?
Yep. The
here?
state license allows 2 different kind of licenses. There's a brewery license, which produces beer, and then there's the brew pub license, which is more of the, you produce beer, but you also have full liquor license, full restaurant capabilities.
Okay.
We're not looking to get a liquor license, which I've also heard from in here there aren't any available. We're just looking to be a production facility that would then sell it. But we cannot sell out-of-state beer underneath the brewery license. It'd be a lot better for our scenario because we could make enough beer and bring it up here, but it's not allowed by the state.
Okay.
Yep.
So last summer I was up in Minocqua and the kids were like, hey, we got to try this. Very much like this,
Yeah.
but it wasn't beer, it was more liquor, And so when you walked in, it was all glass and you could see all the tanks.
Sure. Yep.
Right?
Distillery.
And,
Probably.
yep, it was a distillery,
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
And then you just had little flights of high-end liquors
Yep.
that you would try. No music. You could walk outside, do a patio. So, you're there like for an hour and a half, and then you're gone.
Yeah.
And I thought it was an interesting. It was very cool, very nichey, and I'm assuming high-end margin because of liquor. But is that what this is? Because it's not like you're getting pitchers of beer and sitting at the bar with your buddies.
Yep.
Is it more nichey?
It's completely
flights of beer
craft,
and
yep.
people are there for an hour and a half socially and then they're out, or is it?
Yeah, this is more of the high-end craft product. So, it's small scaled, high quality, high flavor beer.
Yeah.
And not toot our own home, but we've had accolades over the years, and we were named Best New Brewery in Illinois in 2015, one of the best new breweries in the world in that same year. Several gold medals, silver medals. So like, this is stuff that is, really formulated and really high end and really. And so it's not your pitcher of Miller Lite, and no knock on that. My dad used to work for Miller, but it's totally different than that.
Yeah,
You're not
you don't have.
4-packs out there in the
No,
grocery store.
definitely. It's
like-
4-packs traditionally, 4-pack 16-ounce cans.
Okay.
We might do some 500 milliliter or 750 milliliter bottles.
Yeah.
But it's that higher end clientele who's, as you kind of mature through your tasting of alcohol, you kind of get up to that phase. And I think then distillery becomes after that.
Yeah.
But we found that with Microphone currently, it's a very friendly atmosphere. You'll see strollers in there, you'll see dogs if permitted, coming in there, and they're spending an hour or 2 hours in there hanging out, playing cards, and having a pint or two, and then taking some to go home with them.
So the other thing in the packet, it's just conceptual and it's not part of the approval tonight, is the signage. So it has not been applied for at this time. That'll come later, but it was part of the packet.
Yeah, that's
here.
a little bit cart for the horse, because Hendrix in that building is very limited to what you can do with signage. So they have the existing lighting there. You can only put a wood sign that kind of hangs off it. So we would use the existing structure, but just have our sign kind of hanging there. But it can't be illuminated, can't be anything like that, so.
And that will come back at a later date.
Yep.
So I don't know, Jeff, so your microphone, explain that.
So my name's Mike. I used
Yeah.
to work in the music business. Did a lot of music licensing, music promotions. Then I ended up working for a School of Rock and did all the music marketing for all the schools that were company owned and franchise owned across the U.S. and the world. So I just combined my two passions of music and beer. And having a marketing background, this actually started 11 years ago in our basement. And we started making beer, and we needed to put a name with it. Instead of handing you an amber bottle of beer, we had to put a logo together and all that, and get merchandise and T-shirts and glassware out of the basement. So it was it's one of those conceptual things that a hobby turned into our passion, turned into our business and our life.
So is it karaoke in there or anything like that?
We've done karaoke night, but those days are done for me.
All right, so
Specialty.
if you had outdoor music on the patio, would 9 be a decent shut-off time if you?
For sure, yeah.
Okay.
And so again, being family friendly,
Yeah.
our staff usually is with families. We want to get out of there and not deal with any late night riff-raff or anything like that. So yeah, that's totally fine.
How do you get in? Where do you walk in on the?
It's off the main street off of Milwaukee, and so you kind of come in and then it bends around to the left. So I think there's a bookstore to the left of the
Yeah.
door, and then
Yeah.
to the right is
The
outdoor.
big coffee traders, blue collar,
Yeah, blue collar's on the far end of that building there.
Yeah.
blue collar.
So are you planning, I guess it's irrelevant, you're planning on moving your family up here?
If you ask me, yes. It's hard to move kids, when they're
Yeah, I was gonna
deep
say,
at ages of
we can
10
ask your kids
to
and your
7.
wife if you guys feel that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But eventually, yeah, we actually have some property up north, and it would be definitely a thing that we want to be part of the community. We want to be up here as best we can. So,
Don't they? What's that?
Yeah,
You still have the Elk Grove one.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep.
You're going to continue to operate
Yep.
that. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, that's about a 12,000 square foot space right now. And again, we just purchased the building about a year and a half ago, so we're definitely staying there.
I'll tell you what, I'll mention, and you've been back there, that's very underutilized, the access to the river back there.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. Yeah.
What's not beautiful is the dumpster in the corner in the
Sure.
parking lot that you'll be sharing. So I wouldn't put any hard, fast rules on this, but I think a motion should include working with staff and your landlord to come up with a creative way to help screen the dumpster.
Sounds
Because
good.
Okay.
Yeah, that was actually an appealing thing when we went out that back door. There's a glass garage door, and we opened it up into the deck, and we saw that creek and river back there. It's just
You're gonna be
surreal
putting your
just to
toes
hear
in that water.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, the kids all will be there.
What do you think? Any other questions?
No,
Good.
I think it's a great idea.
Right.
Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve business plan of operation, subject to all local, county, and state licenses, that any pipe music would end at 9 p.m., and that you would work with staff to conceal the dumpster.
Sure.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. All right, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Open up fast.
Good
You
luck.
going to be open this summer?
We need to build out equipment, so 6 months from there. So
Okay.
it's
Oh,
some
wow.
time. So we'll be working on this fast
All
we
right.
can.
Item 10C, DLC 080499, 4017, 2720 Heritage Drive. Applicant Gregory Hughes requesting a site plan and appearance review to modify the facade of the existing multi-tenant building at Walmart Center. Good evening. Why don't you state your name and address,
Sure.
and then we'll let Mike go.
Hi, my name's Greg Hughes, 2720 through 2850 Heritage Drive at the Walmart Center.
Mike?
Sure,
What's
all
going on?
right, so the applicant is proposing a little bit new metal roof, awnings, and column facade updates for the shopping center, you know, anchored by Dairy Queen there. Let's see if I can pull up some of the. So here is right now it's just circular concrete columns in front, so they're looking at dressing those up pretty good. A page through that's, I guess, the green accent, is that part of it as well?
No,
On
what
this, or no?
that picture is, that's a prototype that we did for a column. It's right in front of Aurora, so that shows what the finished product will be. That green band, we are looking, when we paint the entire building, that green band would be painted beige to max the.
You wouldn't mind leaning into the mic just a little bit? In case,
Sure.
okay.
The green band would be painted beige to match the existing color. But yeah, that one column, we did one prototype. I don't know if anyone's been by the Aurora, right near the Office Max, but that's a prototype we did towards the end of last fall.
Okay. And then this is what color is the metal roof? So it's more tan or brown?
So the metal roof right now is a faux copper, and it's over about 25 years old. It's there's been some discoloration, and there's also been some damage from some storms. So what we're looking to do is put on a new metal roof, which is going to be a dark bronze, which will match the existing door frames and the existing window frames. And we've been working with our architect and a couple designers. So we came up with a package of how we can basically give the shopping center an updated, new, modern image. And what we've decided to achieve that result would be two things. One would be change the copper metal roof to the dark bronze metal roof, like I explained, and then also take those circular columns that are concrete when the shopping center was built in 1981, which is, more of an outdated look. And we would do these square columns like that prototype, which would be the stone on the bottom and the split face block on the bottom, which the split face block will be painted the same beige like the rest of the building you could see behind it.
And then the awnings are getting updated as well?
The awnings, that's the faux copper.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know
Yep.
if Amy put in a picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, so right now it's that existing, that faux copper. So we're looking to make that metal a dark bronze, like I mentioned, will match. If you look at our window frames and our door frames, they're existing dark bronze, and then that metal would match.
What do you do, replace the metal, or?
So the copper metal will be taken off.
Okay.
And it's gonna be a new dark bronze
Okay.
metal that will be
So
put on.
the awnings will be covering the same way, but it'll be different color.
It'll be the same way. It's gonna just be, instead of the faux copper
Right.
that's there, it's gonna be the dark.
Darker will match the other trim.
The dark bronze, exactly. And then after we're done with the new metal awnings, and then there's basically 37 columns, which goes from Dairy Queen all the way to the end, where we just put in Bug and Goose just past the Office Max. Then we're gonna paint the whole exterior facade.
Okay.
Wow.
If I may ask, this is great, right? It's great to kind of update and refresh, but what's driving this from a business perspective? Are you trying to stay competitive? Is it proactively trying to stay ahead of the quality?
We're just being proactive. We've actually have done this with another shopping center where we took these circular columns and squared them off and
Yeah.
really improved the image. and we're looking just to stay ahead of the curve, basically update the shopping center, make an investment into the property. Nice thing is, we have a new tenant. We're gonna be 100% leased.
I was just gonna ask you,
Nice.
what's your occupancy there?
So, yeah, so we have one tenant that's going into the old Rocky Rococo space.
Okay.
They should probably be coming in here probably in, 4 to 6 weeks for their approval, but it's a national, baking tenant, which I think the community will be pleased with, but that's gonna make us at 100% for the time being.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is probably about the third rendition I've seen, refresh I've seen, because I've lived here for so long. But I really, of all of them, I like this one the best.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's very clean looking and very modern, and that I think people will really like it. One question I do have is, do you own, as part of this shopping center, the retention pond there?
That retention pond is shared between us and the actual Walmart up on the hill.
Okay.
And then we do have our landscape crew that cuts that
Okay.
grass.
Yeah, I've been past there in past years, and it's not been taken well care of, and I would just, when I think that, I'd like to see it
You
get
can only,
taken
you
care
can
of.
only choke the throat in front of you, right?
Right.
Well, you like them
And I
all. How
don't-
about a
and-
motion, Laura?
Right. Yeah, I will make a motion to approve. I think this is a great refresh.
Oh, thank you.
And do we have to send this on to?
No.
No? Okay.
Motion.
All right, good.
I'll second that.
Motion approved by Laura. Ed seconds.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. All right.
Great, thank you
Good
very
luck.
much.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to Delafield.
Okay, we are through our agenda, through number 11. Anybody want to talk about comprehensive plan zoning and ordinance revision updates? Amy's not here. 12, report of city officials. Regular meeting is scheduled, next meeting is April 26th. Am I stealing your thunder? No. Okay. April 26th, 2023. And our submittal deadline date is March 29th. Correspondence is in the packet. Anything from you, Tom? Mike? I said that before.
No.
You're in Tom's chair.
No more
All right,
from me.
building inspector's not here. With all that, the meeting is now adjourned at 8:12. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Maybe next time, Laura, you let the rest of us play a little bit. They're not even gonna know we were here.